Hi, Francis.
Okay, welcome to join in. So I was just here meditating a few minutes before the show, and then I had the thought of silence and silent retreat in my mind. And Eric just said in the very moment that he had a song called the Silent Song. So we thought, this is a perfect beginning, perfect opening for our show today.
Yeah. Yeah, this song came to me a few years ago, and it's kind of about just that feeling that we have when we're really resting in silence, when it feels like we're getting in touch with like the real song of heaven, which isn't like an audible song, but I just decided to call it the silent song. And yeah, it's very deep, very appropriate for silent retreats and things like that. Can you hear the song playing silently everywhere? It's hard to hear if you're listening only with your ears. Can you see the light shining endlessly through your mind? It's hard to find if you're looking only with your eyes. Can you smile, smile that lightens up the world for a while? But don't try, it will come naturally when you're inspired by the love inside. Can you see we're imprisoned only by our beliefs, and we are free anytime that we choose to be? If you take my hand, we'll rise together from this foreign land and see that we never need to think no plan. We must only decide we'll be happy once we've made up our mind. Walking faster only slows you down. Just be patient, keep your feet on the ground. Can you feel the love? It's all around to help you rise above all the pain and fear you've been dreaming of. It's alright to just let go and simply fall in love. Can you hear the song playing silently everywhere? It's right here, singing softly that there's nothing to fear.
Yeah, this morning we have been talking about an upcoming virtual retreat that we're gonna hold from here, from Utah. But the retreat request came from South Africa, and this friend in South Africa actually wanted to have a silent retreat and have a group to come together in his house or in his property and hold a week-long silent retreat. And at the same time, we will do sessions every day virtually. So this morning we just really opened up the idea to, because South Africa actually has the same time zone as Europe, pretty much. So we really feel like, because we're gonna be doing sessions every day, so we want to actually open it up to a silent retreat for our friends in Europe as well. And if you feel you have the condition to go in a silent retreat by yourself, either you have a home or a house that has that condition, or you can go somewhere and then tune in virtually, that would be great. Otherwise, I thought maybe there are some friends who has a place that would want to gather a few people together, 5 or 6 people. It's like little pods, and have this experience together. It's almost like we're having a virtual silent retreat with different pods around the world. And instead of doing it individually, every group can come and drop together into this place of silence and tune into the sessions. And there will be other time of deep meditation and experiential sessions that you can go through it with a group of people together. So that will be almost like a very beautiful experience. So this is something, if you're interested, we're in the process of looking at all the logistics and details, and we'll probably announce it in the next month or this month. So just tune into that if you're interested. And another thing I also want to mention is that our monastery in Utah is actually now open 12 months a year now. So it's actually a beautiful, really, really beautiful place and backdrop. And we're inviting people to come for personal retreats or personal silent retreats, whatever that is the calling for, in your heart. You actually can come and just drop into the silence and have, whatever one-on-one sessions or other sessions with us, or not, or just pure silence, because the monastery is really a gift for that. It's actually built for that. So we really see that as a gift to our mind, and feels like the Spirit really wants us to use that gift. So if you feel a draw to that, let us know. But I think just this silent retreat idea keeps coming to mind in different forms, different requests, because this is the universal experience, that we're calling out for. Really, everybody, at the bottom of our hearts, the desire is exactly the same. The desire is peace of God, is peace of mind. There isn't really any difference. There is only difference at the level of form as a substitute for that. But the true calling of the hearts are exactly the same. It's the same call for our minds. And silent retreat and silence really is a direct, very direct way to drop into that experience. And right now, it is really the universal experience that we're looking for, not the theology concepts. They're not really gonna carry us all the way through. At some point, they're helpful for a period of time, and at a certain point, we have to let them drop. So actually, I do want to address one question that I received today, actually. Last show, I actually talked about, Holy Spirit can reinterpret a scenario that we perceive, can reinterpret, our thoughts or our way of thinking, our way of looking at the world. And this is a follow-up question. Does that mean that Holy Spirit do not see the truth, capital T, in every situation? Holy Spirit only gives an interpretation? Maybe I understand the word wrongly. I thought interpretation just means another way of seeing things, which do not necessarily means truth. I do not just want to see things differently. There are so many ways to see things, one for each limited perspective of personhood. I only want the truth, not an interpretation. But as I said, maybe I do not understand the meaning of interpretation with love. It's a very sincere question. I really like that. There's a workbook lesson in the course that says, the peace of God is my only goal. And it started the lesson with, to say these words is nothing, but to mean these words is everything. And also says something to the extent that nobody who really mean these words will suffer or will have any kind of suffering or sorrow in any time and space. So basically meaning that no one who really mean these words still needs healing. They're healed by just the pure desire and truly mean these words. So in a way, what it really says is that to say these words that I want the peace of God, and if the experience is not an experience of only having peace of God, only having peace throughout all situation and all scenario and all time and space, then it actually means that I don't really want peace of God. And I think it's really helpful to start there, because that's why the Course doesn't really come with the ultimate truth and saying this is the truth and constantly quote the truth so that your mind can be saturated with the right concept or the right words. There is no pain, the world is an illusion, there is only love. It does that from time to time to remind you, even though the wordings are quite dualistic sometimes, just addressing the mind where it is at, to meet the mind, what the belief it still has. But ultimately, that's not it. That's not where you're going to stop. That is a stepping stone along the way. But after you really give yourself over to the stepping stone is no use to you anymore, and you don't even have to think about it. You move on until that ultimate state of mind is achieved. So the Course is very, very practical, because it doesn't really tell you you are doomed, there is no way out, you just wait and do nothing, and this is ultimately the truth. The Course actually saying this is the truth, and I know you cannot understand, and don't even try, and it's okay you don't actually. But let's start here. Let's start where you're at. And at this point, I think with us in the spiritual circle, we hear so much words, so many sentences, so many ways of talking about the absolute, talking about the truth, that we actually started to be impatient with the steps. The mind that isn't really ready to mean peace of God is my only goal fully, and hasn't really brought the experience fully, becomes impatient with the step that is presented. So it actually wants to jump and wants to say, I know the ultimate goal because I heard about it, and I actually can make a picture of it or a concept of it in my mind. And I want that. And I'm going to keep reinforcing that I'm still not there yet, and I want that, and keep maintaining this kind of lag and reinforce the lag instead of saying, be patient with, okay, the Spirit must meet me where I'm at, not only in giving me the answer and giving me the solution and giving me something, tangible that this mind can understand to take, but the Spirit is also, making sure that this mind, can get it. That is really the Holy Spirit's job. If the mind only understands specifics, if the mind only knows how to go through life, through time and space, what use is the Holy Spirit if the Holy Spirit only knows the abstract? Where does that meet? The Holy Spirit has to come, and that is really the good news. The Holy Spirit is talking to the mind at the level where it can understand, and is making sure it doesn't miss it. It doesn't really miss what is obviously here in front of you if we have the mind that is open to accept it. So I feel like this question behind it is really this calling of wanting to be happy and wanting to have the peace of God. And the way to really go about it is to really look at, honestly, where I don't want peace of God. Because what does that really mean to want peace of God? That means I want to renounce all illusions. So that is completely equal. To me, I want peace of God means I want to renounce all illusions, not holding on to one. So then, to me, I don't really want peace of God must mean I still cherish certain illusions. And for whatever reason, I do believe these illusions give me something. And that is the point that we actually can start. This is something that we can actually start doing some work, to really look at really which part of the illusion, what illusion I do cherish, and be honest with it. Which illusion I actually think will bring me something. Is that, because I, hear people tell me honestly that they say I'm not ready to give up gourmet food yet because I enjoy it so much. And the reason we enjoy it is because we believe it actually benefits us and it gets me something. And what is that? The gourmet food or the fantastic taste, the stimulation can give me, except the feeling of love. Isn't that a substitute of love? Somehow it is in our mind to see everything that we're holding on as a substitute of love. And of course the mind is not ready to give it up if they are seen as a substitute of love and experienced as substitute of love, even temporarily. So to say I want to give up all illusions doesn't really mean anything when the mind, that feels so much lack and so much fear and so much guilt, feel like it can hang on to some part of the illusion that can feel temporarily loved by God. So that is, we're talking about the practical application is, let's really express and expose, not to, maybe to a brother, but it's not for anyone, it's for myself to get clear on what are the illusions that I truly honestly cherish in this moment, and I truly honestly think that really brings me something. And if we're really that open and that honest, then the Spirit, and we allow the Spirit to come and guide us to transfer that experience, the Spirit will present different concept or different experience to show you. You have to be shown. We have to be shown experientially, to know these kind of illusions are really not going to bring us the love that we want. So we have to follow the Spirit's curriculum. And how to follow the Spirit's curriculum is to really focus on what is right here, right now. Because what is right here, right now is the curriculum. What is the reason that anything even happens? Anything that is happening right now is for the mind to open up. That is the only purpose of anything that is even happening. Ultimately, in this whole world, any bit of situation and people and encounter, everything that is happening has one goal, that is to help the mind to open up. So if we really can see that, that is the real question probably we need to ask, is how do I really see that and start to trust, develop that kind of trust that every situation that happens is for me, is for my mind, not for the personality itself per se, but it's for the real you, it's for the real me that is hiding behind this personality self. It's for the real mind to experience happiness and union. It's for the mind behind it to heal, to start to relax and open up and expand. So the Spirit's interpretation isn't just another way among so many ways of looking at the situation. Of course, there are so many ways with, you ask someone else, they have a different perspective. You ask someone else, you have another different perspective. It's not the same. Holy Spirit's interpretation is not the same as just another perspective, because the way Holy Spirit interpreted is from love, not from fear. And the way that the ego minds interpret the situation is inevitably from a place of separation and lack. So it always is going to be coming from a place of fear and lack. Even though temporarily is, this situation is so good, it's beneficial for me, it really meets my preference, but ultimately even that interpretation is still strengthening a belief that there will be, your preference, meeting your preference give you happiness. Not meeting your preference is not going to give you happiness, and your happiness is completely dependent on the situation meeting your preference, and you're in lack. So any interpretation that is given by the ego that you believe in is just going to facilitate and strengthen that belief in the mind. It's really a loop. There is no way out. So the Holy Spirit's way of interpreting is actually breaking that loop. It comes from a completely different way of seeing everything. It's going to show you how, among all things, this one thing is beneficial, this one thing is for your best interest. Even if the interpretation is meeting where the mind is, the belief is, believing in a personal identity, believing in a physical body, that doesn't matter. The Spirit is still going to meet you there and provide an interpretation that going to make you step back, wanting to step back, and going to make you want to trust that there is another way of seeing it, and I don't really have to hang on to this. So that is really the goal. Is not like I just need the Spirit to interpret it for me for any reason other than this will help me forgive. This will help the mind to develop this trust, and this will help the mind to start opening up and step back, from interference. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah, I just have been thinking about my own journey. I actually, started the course and was incredibly drawn to the non-duality teachings at the same time before I came to this community. And at the beginning it was a real torn, actually, because I felt that non-duality talk was more pure, and I loved Ramana Maharshi so much. I read every bit of his books or writings that's available online. And I also thought secretly, maybe, I thought that's a simpler way. Actually, that's an easier way, because all he wanted, or all he asked you to do is to abide in the I amness, so abide in that state of mind. And because there is nobody, there is no suffering, is all illusion, is made up, question the I am and stay there. And I really loved it. But that isn't my curriculum, because at the same time the Spirit is really guiding me and somehow pushing me onto this path of, walking a path of not only talk the terms about Jesus and Holy Spirit, as at the beginning as if it is outside of me, then gradually really start to experience it's not from outside. Okay, we have alarm. But also I really have to, instead of just meditate and abide in this empty space, which actually my mind wasn't ready to do. I just thought I was so far ahead than I was. I thought I was so ready just to abide in the I amness, and I totally know what he was talking about. That resonates so deeply. But my journey turned out to be a journey of actually really reveal the layers and started to allow the darkness to come up and really expose and share and speak up and really follow the Spirit's. Everything is shaking here. I don't know what's going on. Things started to suddenly jump and move as I'm speaking. Like Inception, Nikita said. Sometimes the Matrix has a glitch. I keep noticing the glitch in the Matrix more and more. Like things just like, what's going on there? Come on, this is system. The program is faulty. But anyway, yeah. And at this point, I'm looking back and I thought, how could I do it on my own? How could I have done this without bring the Holy Spirit, or open to the idea even of the Holy Spirit in my mind? I could have never experienced what I'm experiencing, because there were so many layers of darkness that I was just not aware of. And also maybe there was a lot of pride to admit that, to go with that kind of pace of one step at a time. The mind wants to take the shortcut, wants to take the easy way, but it doesn't really know what it takes, and it actually doesn't really know what it wants, doesn't really know what is its best interest. There is no way for the mind to, for the ego mind to know its best interest. So I just feel like, this is what I want to talk about, because this is truly backed up by my experience, and I can really say it with so much gratitude. And I still have a lot of gratitude and respect for the non-duality teachers. I still love and resonate with the talk, and yet I also fully embrace and feel very, very grateful for my own path that Spirit has pointed to me, and also didn't allow me to waste time really to keep jumping around, really. So okay, I actually have another question. This is a longer one. I'm just going to read it out loud first. Hi Francis, thank you for being available to contact like this. My question is this. I understand I'm to forgive anything and everything that causes me an upset, but how do I actually forgive? Do I say to myself I forgive that person and just leave that there? Or do I say I forgive you knowing this is all a reflection in my own mind and not them at all, and what is in my mind isn't true? I don't want to deny myself any opportunities to truly forgive, and I don't want to fool myself by pretending something is okay when deep down I don't feel that at all. As an example, I feel my husband's words are a constant attack on me, with me forgiving him and then forgiving him again and again. However, a few days ago I just exploded and let out all the grievance I had deep down about him. I felt very angry and very upset with him. In fact, I felt furious and expressed that, and I stayed feeling furious with him for a few days. Then the feeling subsided. I feel much better now and no longer feel upset. What I'm trying to say is I actually felt better after I let rip with the anger than I have done by sitting back and forgiving. This situation with my husband seems to repeat itself. I'm confused and I don't know what to do. Can you either talk to me about this or address this issue on your show sometime? Thank you. Yeah, I think this is, similarly, in form is a question about what to do to forgive. I think what I just talked about is really relevant to this question as well. In my own experience, when at the beginning when I started to practice no private thoughts and no people pleasing, that is for the aim of forgiveness, because when I feel like I have so much emotion and so much upset that comes up, and at the beginning it was quite frequent, and a lot of the times even to do with situations that I feel I cannot express because maybe it was just a joke with some kind of sarcasm underneath it I can sense, but it was not obvious. It's not really feeling socially appropriate to actually address it there and then, or just there's so many little things that's so little that feels, says something about me if I address them. It says like I'm so, I don't know, not unforgiving or irritated with little things, or just any kind of reasons, I would stop myself from really speaking up. So at the beginning, I really went through a period of really practice learning how to allow myself to speak, because the process isn't really about speaking up to other people. It's actually a process of allowing, and it's a process of exploring. It's, exposing what is underneath. It's never about the top, the cloud or the thought that's really on the surface of the mind. But we have to start there. We have to give us permission. Sometimes the thought doesn't really sound very, very good. It sometimes sounds very nasty. But underneath all of that is something we never really get in touch with. Underneath it is always something very, very beautiful and very vulnerable, very, very, very authentic that is underneath. But it's covered by these layers of really nasty attack thoughts. So at the beginning, it does seem to have, take some courage for us to actually give us permission to actually be able to speak up these thoughts, just so that we can actually drop into the deeper levels, just so that we go against the process of what the ego wants to do, which is to use, the surface thought to repress the feeling that's really there underneath. So I just feel like with individual situations, if the goal is truly forgiveness, which you did say that, which is beautiful, because a lot of the times, even when we take on the form of expression session, I notice it's very tempting for people to forget the real purpose of doing expression sessions. It's easy to think it's actually about saying what I truly feel, and it's about blaming other people or letting them feel guilty about what just happened. And that is not going to help with the forgiveness goal in the mind. If the goal is forgiveness, then that has to be held up front. Then we allow the situation to be however it is. And the reason that we actually feel upset, again, let's just go a little deeper here. The reason that we actually feel upset in any situation is, again, we're feeling this situation or this person does not provide something that we're lacking. It does not give us the kind of experience we want to have that enable for us to feel loved. So that is always the reason. So we feel lack in the first place, and then we're seeking for other people to do certain things or for the situation to turn out to be a certain way. And when that doesn't happen, then we feel upset. Or it could be, the flip side. We are doing something, then we perceive other people being hurt by our actions, and we feel guilty. But if we understand the reason for projection, any reason that would project anything onto other people or a situation is always because the projection can make us feel a little better. The projection can make us feel a little less guiltier, And that is the reason why the ego wants to project, is because I cannot face this feeling that's coming up that's so intensely, so I need to dump it onto something else and feel this temporary relief. And that's exactly what we're doing, on a daily basis. We project onto each situation of what is lacking out there, in situation, or what we did that caused people. So anyhow, that lacking is always out there. So the forgiveness process is to actually start to turn back to be able to see and explore what is that I'm truly feeling lacking in myself, that is the only way that we can eventually stop the projection, is to dare to look at whatever that's come up. So when we do the forgiveness process, if we are, after a period of time, we're very sincere and our desire is really pure, we don't really feel this fear in the mind to face what's coming up and want to dump it onto other people, then you might be able to do it in your mind very quickly. When upsets or thoughts coming up in your mind, you could probably be able to immediately catch yourself and see, wow, this isn't really going to take me anywhere. To believe that I'm a victim of any kind, to believe that there is any kind of lack outside, isn't really true, and it's not going to take me anywhere. Just by seeing that, it's not believed in, so there isn't no forgiveness even needed, because it's not believed in. There's no condemnation in the first place, and that definitely can happen and will happen. But if it is not the experience right now and it keeps looping, the upset comes up, and then we say, okay, it's not true. I'm just needing to forgive in this moment, and then it keeps coming up. All that it says is that the mind still is attracted to attack thoughts and to projection. The mind still has fear of looking at what is arising, so there is a need to project. So but that's fine. That isn't to be taken as some kind of failure, or that is the very reason that we're on this path. So when we realize that, then we don't really need to just do the lip service and affirmation in our mind, knowing that isn't what is truly happening in the mind yet, because there's still a tremendous amount of fear. Then all that we need to do is to start, actually what you did, to start actually giving ourselves permission to allow things to arise. It has to happen for our mind to start it, to dare to look at what's coming up. The more you look, the less you're going to feel fearful. The less you look, the more fearful. The more you hide, the more you feel fearful, and the more you project. So once you start this direction of really start looking, you're going to start to feel more and more comfortable of looking, and you're going to find something that is really, really true and really beautiful underneath. It's not something that's terrible underneath. So permission is the key. Looking within is the key, and whatever can facilitate that is the most helpful. So if your husband or anyone in your life you feel can help you feel more courageous and more safe to look within, then that is the best thing to do. If you don't feel that's going to encourage you, that actually going to make you feel more fearful, then find someone else that you feel can support you in that way. But that is truly the goal. The goal isn't telling people how you feel. That isn't the goal. The goal is definitely not making people understand your feeling or feeling guilty of the situation or be on the same page as you are. That isn't the goal. The goal is to help yourself to be able to find the courage to look what is going on and to explore what's going on. So a lot of the times it does require the speaking. It does require the exposing. It could be even journals. It could be a friend that you really trust. It could be a friend that is on the same path, that values transparency, that values honesty, values exposing the ego. So I hope this can help, because really the scenario, what to do, will change all the time. And yet if you can be very clear with this in mind of what this is for, is to support myself, to start opening up and start to do it more and more until the point that I really don't have to, because I know inside out what is coming up. There's no fear. So knowing that as the goal, then allow the spirit and the prayer to bring that help to you, will, that will be the best way to handle that. And ultimately, it really leads to the forgiveness about the self. It's not, you would notice that on this path, the more that you give yourself permission to expose, the more you give yourself permission to look at what is arising with the goal of forgiveness, and really catch the situation when you're attempted to attack and when you're tempted to project. You will notice in the end isn't really about forgiving anything else. It's actually forgiving the self. And you will probably notice a lot of situations that you will have to forgive being spontaneous and allow things to be involuntary. That is really the next phase, seemingly in the level of form. At the level of form, is that when the mind is quite still and it just wants to be involuntary, allow the speech to come through, allow words to come through, allow the body to do whatever, and the mind doesn't really want to be in the control anymore of what to do. This what to do question gonna fade because it develops so much trust, and the fear is gonna dissolve of what to do questions too, because it really doesn't matter what to do. The mind is gonna wake up, the mind is gonna heal. The body isn't really gonna bring that, So ultimately you notice a lot of situations that you have to give this body permission to do whatever that wants to flow through it, and not judge it as well. And once that permission is given to one body, it's really given to all the bodies, and you actually see this whole world, everything that is happening, and every body that's walking this earth, they just have to do certain things almost as programmed, and there's really no way to judge what is bad and what is good and what is right and what is wrong. And the mind can just stay at peace, can really see all the scenarios from a much bigger perspective, not from this zoomed in personal perspective about whether the situation is benefiting to me, whether people are respecting me, whether people are showing their love or giving me anything to fulfill the lack in me. It will not interpret anything from that perspective anymore. It sees everything as a whole. So in that way, that is where the mind can stay at peace. But that, of course, is exactly the forgiving process. Everything that happens in your awareness is to achieve this goal. Is what is most helpful in this moment for you to achieve that very goal. So we have 10 minutes left. If you have any question or thoughts, feel free to raise your hands.
I'm just going to thank you, Frances. Grateful for Eva.
Thank you. Okay, if there is no question, then we can just finish it here. And I really appreciate that you come on this show, and I see a few friends from Europe. It's pretty late. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.